Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And in truth, the question on everybody's lips is basically, how did Michael Carrick do it? How did Michael Carrick, have managed to engineer four-game winning streak for Manchester United ever since Ren was sacked in early January to even be in contention for the manager of the month, everything in between. Like now, we've had the Spurs game just a couple days ago and he managed to win that one, engineer a win, a good win, comfortable win, considering how Spurs played against Manchester City. Man United still beat, and then he's beat like part of the traditional top six. I mean, he's drawn with Chelsea in the past, but yeah, not this current Chelsea side. He's beating Arsenal, Manchester City. He's beating Fulham, maybe not part of the traditional top six, but a tough team. I mean, Marco Silva is a good manager, and then he's beating Fulham. He's beating Tottenham Hotspur. And he's managed to engineer that win comfortably and with getting Man United playing well and all of that. We did a tactical deep dive with regards to how he beat Fulham, and we brought you some pictures and all this one on all that. But this one, we're not going to be doing that because of the quick turnaround time, to break down the analytics and all of that. Quick turnaround time for me with a whole lot of stuff going on. So I'm just going to just give you a tactical breakdown with an analysis of what happened, and then basically after the West Ham game, we'll have a proper time to actually break these things down into pictures and stuff that we can all talk about, especially just kind of like to generalize it. But yeah, we've faced practically two London sides, three London sides, and beating all of them. And we face another one next, but we'll talk about that in the match preview. So let's get right into it. 8 games, you know, 1,104 days. Basically, that's how long Manchester United fans have waited waited to utter the words "We beat Tottenham." That's a fact, right? Now, while the world was watching to see if Michael Carrick's interim bounce would actually finally hit the North London wall, the man himself was, quietly preparing a tactical ambush. Not only did unbeaten this, I mean, not only did he dismantle the unbeaten run, United dismantled Thomas Frank's Spurs 2-0, and it was with swagger that we haven't seen before or haven't seen in years. 4 wins in a row, 0 goals conceded in three. Um, Basically, I think 0 goals conceded in three. Or no, so we've considered in the 4 games we've played, we've considered 4 goals, and we've scored. The first game was 2-0, second game was 3-2, third game was 3-2, and this one's 2-0. So basically, we have scored 10 goals. Oh, 8 goals. What? No, 10 goals. 10 goals in 4 games. Amazing, man. And basically, now that 8 game winless run against Tottenham Hotspur has been buried at Old Trafford. And that's facts. The last time we played against them was 2-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Now, how did he do it? I mean, this wasn't just about the red card vibes. I mean, like, red card for Romero was obviously a red card. I was watching some folks on YouTube talking about, oh, that's not a red card, and it was actually a red card. I went for his ankle, and we know Romero can be like that. And I don't think Romero likes Brazilian players because he had the same thing with Bruno Guimaraes against, and he almost even fought him, or probably even fought him against Newcastle, where Guimaraes scored 1 goal, Newcastle scored another, Romero scored both goals, and he was, mocking Guimaraes with his celebration and all of that. So it's normal for him to actually be like that, right? Right. So it's not just and I don't think it was about vibes. This was kind of like a calculated, structural overhaul. Today we're going to actually just, break it down, break down the false nine pivot, the the set piece routine, which actually led to the first goal. And that set piece routine actually broke the internet because obviously Michael Carrick was pointing at um, Johnny Evans, right? And we're going to talk about the game model, maybe starting to make sense, and people are starting to believe now. And what's the worst thing that could ever happen to a manager is to come and face tough teams as he starts his interim role. If you want to understand what actual football means behind the headlines, stay tuned. And this is what your ultimate tactical breakdown looks like for Manchester United beating Tottenham 2-0. So the first aspect of this is basically the Carrick Tweak. Like it looked like 4-2-3-1 on paper, but it was kind of like a 4-2-2 hybrid. I've seen this before under Ralph Ragnick. I didn't believe that this was what's gonna happen, but it's like for me to have seen it like that, then you could understand the logic behind that. Most people saw the team sheet and thought, oh yeah, unchanged 11, the old 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But Danny Murphy on Match of the Day, spotted what we are about to dive into. Basically, he said Carrick didn't play a standard 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3. The formation United operated in is a fluid 4-2-2-2 in possession, right? The double pivot Casemiro and Kobe Mainoo sat deep, acting as the insurance policy. The two tens, that was the genius move. Bruno Fernandes and Cunha as the false nines or false tens or free tens, as the case may be. And why did it work? Because if you look at it, technically that actually makes a lot of sense. So you see Mbeumo as the wide, Mbeumo and Ahmad as the wide at some points in the game. You see Casemiro and Mainoo in the deep line playing role or in the 2-6s at some point in the game. And then you see Cunha and Bruno go up. So it was a 4-2-2-2. Now, right, that according to Danny Murphy, that was like a genius move, right? By having Bruno drop deep, and this is why it worked. By having Bruno drop deep into the half space, Bruno and Cunha drop deep into the half space, they pulled Tottenham's centre halves, Micky van der Ven and Cristian Romero, into a no man's land. If the defenders followed them, then spaces opened up for Ahmad and Mbeumo to sprint into, basically behind the line. And I saw this on Vertical Football Podcast when he said that that Man United tried to draw Tottenham out and to have them, to attack them behind their line. So that was what, basically I noticed with the game, right? And we could talk about it all day, but that is what I noticed as well. They stayed deep. Bruno had 10 yards of grass to pick a pass, right? Statistically, United dominated the zones just outside the Spurs area. In the first 30 minutes alone, Bruno had more touches in the final third, which is 14, than any other player on the pitch. And this wasn't the chaotic transition only. It was football of control, basically, and then eventually, making assertive passes. So, which takes us to the next phase of the game, of the deep dive, and that is the high press and the Romero incident. Now, to win, to win, to win 4 in a row, you need a defense that starts at the front. And Carrick's United didn't sit back; they maintained a 65% ball possession share. But it was also the out of position work that defined the game. The pressing trap, United used the man-oriented press on Spurs' build-up. Casemiro, playing his 100th Premier League game, was actually the designated chaos agent. And he wasn't just sitting there. He wasn't sitting deep or dropping in between the centre backs. He was stepping up to harass, Papsa, and also the other midfielder they had there, Gallagher, you know. He was stepping up to harass them. And then the defining moment, which was the 29th minute, was when the pressure led directly to the Cristian Romero red card, because United were so compact, Spurs were forced into heavy touches. When the ball broke to Casemiro, uh, Romero, already frustrated by United's dominance, lunged in, basically kicked the ball and stepped on Casemiro's ankles. Now, the stats of the dominance for this one was basically the fact that shots on target, United had 10, Spurs had 1. XG, that's expected goals, United had 1.79, Spurs had 0.49. And then touches in the opposition box, United had 37, Spurs had 17. Even before the red card, United were knocking on the door of Spurs, and Spurs were actually suffocated. They couldn't even win a single corner in the match. It was zero corners all through. Let that sink in. Thomas Frank's known for his, for their set piece prowess, and they had zero corners. That must be an that must be a genius move from the team to actually force Tottenham not to have no corners all through the game. Because if you remember the last game that we played 2-2, one of the goals came from a set piece for them, right? So yeah, and then the phase three of this whole thing basically was the set piece ingenuity and the Mbeumo opener, right? So let's talk about that 38-minute goal, right? Everyone talks about Arsenal set piece, but under the radar, the coaching team under Michael Carrick and staff had turned United into a dead ball machine. I mean, we've seen this under Ruben Amorim, and then obviously continued, obviously, under Michael Carrick. Now, the routine breakdown. First, the trigger. Bruno takes the short corner. Then, number two, the target. He bypasses the crowd and zips a low ball to Kobe Mainoo at the near post. And I watched that corner again. The moment Bruno raises his left hand, Kobe Mainoo starts running from behind Vicario straight on that byline. And guess what? That was a deception. Mainoo doesn't turn. He provides a world-class disguise flick. That was the deception in all of that. When that ball came in the near post, perfect. He just provided a world-class disguise flick, and the Spurs defense, including Vicario, expects a cross to the back post where Maguire was actually looking and basically trying to disrupt things. And lo and behold, the finish. The flick finds Bryan Mbeumo perfect in the D, and he guides a cool left-footed finish into the bottom right corner. This wasn't luck. This was hours of work on Carrington grass. We've talked about this multiple times where, I mean, even Mbeumo said it in the post-match when he said, we tried it so many times, I kept shooting the ball over the fence and all of that. But to try it now in a game and it worked, it was absolute masterclass, right? And it exploited Spurs' zonal marking weakness. And Mbeumo now has 10 goals this season, and he has become the ultimate big game player. He scored against City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and now Spurs. That is absolutely amazing. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 games. That is absolutely amazing. And the moment that goal went in, Michael Carrick pointed at Johnny Evans because that was something they worked on, right? Then let's go to phase 4. Basically, phase 4 of this whole thing is basically killing the game, the Seshko Bruno connection, right? Leading 1-0, against 10 men. It's often a trap. I mean, everybody remembers Everton where we lost 1-0, right? So we've seen United struggle to break down low blocks before, but Michael Carrick showed tactical flexibility in the second half. The substitution basically was Carrick bringing on Benjamin Sesko for Matheus Cunha, and it was a tactical shift because Mbeumo moves to the left wing. Like I said, within the game, Mbeumo, Bruno, and Cunha were switching multiple times, moving to the left, moving to the central part, and also to the number 9 or the false 9. So Mbeumo moves to the left wing, and Šeško takes the central number 9 role. Now that kind of gives us a bit of versatility and all of that. The result was United have a physical threat, that Spurs can't ignore. Basically. Then the goal happened in the 81st minute when Diogo Dalot, who was sensational on the inverted fullback role, whips in a cross, right? That Seshko's presence distracts Van der Ven. Basically, Šeško tried to touch the ball and didn't, and then the ball glances off the defender, and then there is Bruno Fernandes. Guess what? He was just ghosting into the box on the far post like a prime Frank Lampard. Just basically touches the ball and he just went straight into the net. Now, to tactically analyze that, Bruno catches Vicario off guard. Despite, the keeper getting a hand to it, basically the power of the placement was perfect. He shinned it literally and it was deliberate. They were arguing, the journalists were arguing, the commentators were arguing whether it was deliberate or not. It was deliberate. Right, it was deliberate. Now that was Bruno's 200th goal involvement for Manchester United. And he reached that milestone in 314 games, faster than Cristiano Ronaldo, who reached that 339 games. We are watching a legend in his second spring. Basically, in as much as people want to argue it, Man United fans don't want to accept it. That's the fact, man. He scored he's been involved in 200 goals in 314 games. That's 200 goal and assist in 314 games. That is absolutely amazing. And he got to 314 games quickly, right? Now, to talk about the legacy, let's do the legacy of this whole deal, right? And that is the Tyler Fletcher and the Munich spirit, basically. We can't, and we can't analyze the game without mentioning the soul of the club. Playing the day after the 60th anniversary of the Munich air disaster, Carrick channeled the Busby Babes ethos and gave the debut to Tyler Fletcher at 90+2, which was perfect to kind of end the game. Replacing Mainoo, he didn't just run around, he completed 7 out of 7 passes. He said he was trying to get as many touches as possible. He kept the tempo. He showed that the academy is still the heartbeat of this project. Yes, albeit they might not look like they're ready, but there's something there that we can actually channel our ethos from. Now, Carrick's post-match presser was telling basically, tactics help, but being in a good emotional place helps more. The connection between the fans and the team hasn't been this strong since 2013. And that is what Carrick said, and the truth is, it is what it is. Now we move on to our final take from all of this. What did we learn? What are the things we've done? The takeaways from the game and all that. But what did we learn in total? Like, now here is the $1 million question, and that's Tottenham's 8-game unbeaten run is basically over. United are 4 points clear in 4th place ahead of Liverpool and 1 point ahead of Chelsea. The football is fluid, the defense is resolute, and the game model is clearly working. Final take: Michael Carrick isn't just an interim manager anymore, as we can see. He's auditioning for the biggest job in the world, and he's passing every test with flying colors. Thomas Frank is a tactical heavyweight, and Carrick made him look ordinary. Like I said, I did a poll. I did a poll that was yesterday, and overwhelmingly, actually, I did a poll earlier today. So I don't know whether it is complete, but we're going to check the results. I did a poll on the community. I've done it on the Facebook community, and I've also done it on the YouTube community. And guess what? I asked the question. I said, should Michael Carrick be given the full reins as Manchester United manager, or should Man United look somewhere else? And I asked, and then the first option I gave was yes, absolutely, give it to him. And the second was no, look elsewhere for best in class. And guess what? Overwhelmingly, after 47 votes, we'll come back to this again, but after 47 votes, 70% of the people that voted actually said yes, and 30% said no. We'll continue to monitor this, and then we will. So they say yes, give it to him, give him the managerial job, and 30% said no. But we'll continue to observe, and like I said, give you the feedback. Just to check the Facebook page or the Facebook community, United Talks Facebook community. They said the view poll. Just looking at the poll here, most people have said yes, pretty much. Nobody said no. Yeah. So if you want to join our Facebook community, join by liking and sharing and subscribing to all of our platforms, and you will join the community and have your say in all of this. So yeah, this poll seemed to kind of speak the mind of fans who actually want to have their say on things like that. But yeah, people are saying they should give him the job. But I also want to hear from you guys. Michael Carrick has shown to be very flexible, but we look at the stats. Look at the 4-2-2-2 hybrid, and is Michael Carrick the real deal, or is he a shadow of maybe another manager, say Luis Enrique, as we've mentioned on this channel multiple times? Is this Michael Carrick's resurgence too tempting for Ineos to ignore? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And also, wherever you watch this video, let me know. And if you were Jason Wilcox or the board, would you hand Carrick the 3-year contract tomorrow morning? I mean, just basically repeating what happened under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, even though it was not Ineos that was at the helm. Now, drop your tactical takes in the comments below. I mean, if you enjoyed this deep dive, smash the like button so that people can see this. Subscribe to the channel for more analysis and stuff like this. And we're heading to West Ham on Tuesday. And the truth is, can we make it 5? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. The next video you're going to be watching is the match preview for the West Ham game. And after that, the presser review. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I'll see you on the next video. Take care. Goodbye. Come on then. Let's go to the next video.